Good morning, everyone. This is Ben Dunn, founder of Antarctic Press, a small publishing company established in 1985. I'm also the creator of such comics as Warrior Nun, Ninja High School, My Tiny Tomorrow Girl, and the Marvel Mangaverse, among a host of other mini comics. You know, yesterday I spent some time with the AP guys at the Antarctic Press offices, and we had a great time. We talked about old times, reminisce, things like that. It's coming up 40th anniversary next year. We hope to have a convention put on, and we're all very excited about it. So, while reminiscing, I'm an old man. There's no question about that. I don't know how much I've left on this earth, but I'm sure going to make the most of it. And it got me thinking about how the comic book community has changed in the last 40 years. It used to be very simple. You went to a comic book store, you bought your comic, and that was it. And comic book stores were pretty much the final arbitrator to buying comics. Newsstands were pretty much being abandoned. It was difficult to get a newsstand anyway, especially if you were an independent comic book company. But while growing up, I thought to myself, well, how did I get to here? What circumstances led me to come to to do comic books for a living? Well, when I was growing up, the words that my father hated to hear was, "I'm bored." You know, he did not tolerate laziness. He did not tolerate being idle and wasting time because he knew that wasting time was being useless. He knew that if you had that much time on your hands, then you should be able to find something to do. And back then, growing up in the 70s, 60s and 70s, we didn't have all the modern conveniences we have now. There was no internet, there was no social media. Social media was the newspaper. That was our social media. Social media was the television. That was our social media. And then we talked to each other face to face and through mail. That was our social media. There were some major advantages at that time because people were able to take the time to disseminate information, absorb it, think about it, and then, put together some, thoughtful reflection. I'm not saying that social media is one of the reasons that we have such discourse in this country. But it probably is a primary factor. The thing is that governments can now control the flow of information, and people can react emotionally without knowing all the facts, and people can yell, insult, disparage, reveal information that's not entirely accurate, in an instant, in a second, and it'll spread all over the world before it can be corrected, changed, or proven. And I don't know. It seems to really affect the comic community more than anything else. There's a line in the Batman movie where Joker says, "Some people just want the world to burn," and I think there's a lot of Jokers in our comics community. You know, I cannot believe how much time is being wasted creating drama and trouble in this community that we can least afford it. We can't afford to react that way, alienating our fans, insulting other creators, trying to expose the next big scoop, whether it's real or not, just to get clickbait, just to get reaction out of people. This is not the community that I know. The community I grew up with, in the comics community I grew up with, were people where we respected each other. We admired. Well, yeah, there were rivalries. No, don't question about it. But it never devolved into the kind of matches we see nowadays online. It just didn't happen. You know. If you were to say something to somebody else, it usually had to be in print, and it usually had to be a long thought out, type of dissertation that people could look at and decide for themselves. I mean, sure, there's always going to be rivalries and feuds between comic book creators and creators of any type, but how does that usually start? It usually starts when someone says something disparaging or insulting to somebody else. You know, most successful people in the Korean comic book creating the entertainment industry are the people who just keep to themselves. Look at Steven Spielberg. Probably arguably one of the most successful directors of all time in Hollywood, and he's still an enigma. I mean, there are a few things we've known about him over the last 50 years or so. But he's a very private man. He doesn't reveal a lot of things about himself. He doesn't say who he votes for. He doesn't go out and insult his fans. He doesn't go out, and disparage other creators. He doesn't air dirty laundry. Things, things that are private need to be handled privately. If you need to involve the public, that should be a last desperate measure, not the first go-to. To get support of the mob, I think is always is not a good thing. It just really isn't. I mean, sooner or later, that mob will turn against you. The minute that you show any type of weakness or you're not pure, you'll find that the mob can easily turn against you. And I just don't see how that is a positive for any entertainment or creative endeavor. It just don't see it. If all these people who spend time, all these creative people who spend time online complaining, disparaging, attacking, had spent that same amount of time creating, doing something new, something to make people happy, to something to make entertain, or to share a message of some sort in a creative fashion, how much more could they accomplish? How much more could they accomplish? It just seems very odd to me that there are creators out there who feel the need to want to make trouble for other creators, and attack their fans. I mean, that to me is the most befuddling thing of all, is having the very people who you want to support you, that you attack them. I try to maintain a regular schedule. I know what I do. I try to create something every day. No matter what, draw a little here, sketch there, drew a page there, a couple of pages there. It to me, that's my job. My job is to create. My job is to create things for people to be entertained by. And I think we as a community, especially the creative community, need to do more creating and less complaining. It's just really what it comes down to. We are on a tenuous tightrope of an industry. At any time, things can go haywire. Our distribution system is antiquated. Our exposure is limited. I mean, Hollywood's catering budgets probably spends more than the entire comic book industry combined makes. All it takes right now, and since Marvel and DC, the big two, are owned by huge mega entertainment conglomerates, at any time, at anywhere, at any time they decide they want to shut them down, they can. They can very easily. All it would take is some executive to say, you know what, we have 80 years worth of material, we don't need to do any more. Let's just shut the publishing arm down. Just license the characters. Disney's been doing that for decades. Disney's attempt to make a comic book line of their own flopped spectacularly. Even a company as large as Disney failed to make a comic book imprint. That should say something about that. It really should. Well, anyway, just wanted to leave a little thought for the day. I hope that it will resonate with some of you creators out there to just sit down at the drawing table, at your typewriter, your word processor, whatever you young people use these days, and start creating. You could be the next Harry Potter. You could be the next Star Wars. They started from nothing as well. So if you spent as much time, creating, than you do complaining, who knows what you could accomplish. So anyway, that's my thought for today. And until next time, this has been Dunn, signing off.